30 to 40 leads a day of qualified niche, are going to be like the people you want to talk to, that you've already ingratiated yourself to them. So here, guys, that's how things have just changed.
Have you ever wondered how to consistently create marketing content, develop a stronger professional network, and generate a steady flow of ideal leads for your video marketing business, all at the same time? Well, you've got to listen to what Armando has to share today. Let's go. G'day, my friends. I'm Ben Amos from Engage Video Marketing, and this is episode 274 of the Engage Video Marketing podcast. It's available now on YouTube at engagevideomarketing.com/YouTube and on all your regular podcast listening apps. Hey, I had the pleasure of being introduced to our guest today in person when I was over in San Diego last month. And when I heard him talking about some of the things that were working for him in his video production and marketing business, I knew I had to unpack this stuff for you guys further. So I invited him here to the show in this episode to share some of his secret sauce. My guest today is Armando Leduc from Leduc Entertainment, a video production company based out of New Orleans. He's also a bit of a stud apparently in front of the camera, having built a solid career as an actor in Hollywood movies and TV shows. For me though, most importantly, he's a super giving guy with his advice and his wisdom, and I know you'll see this for yourself as we get into this episode. So enough from me then, let's jump into my chat and learn the secret sauce about how Leduc Entertainment are crushing it in their video marketing company. All right, let's say hello to Armando Leduc. Armando Leduc, welcome to the podcast. It's awesome to have you join me here today.
Oh, Ben, much appreciated. Thank you for having me, of course. It's an honor.
Yeah, man. And we met in San Diego as I was attending Social Media Marketing World, and we caught up for an excellent breakfast with a whole bunch of amazing people with Angus Nelson. And we had a bit of a conversation there that kind of sparked a whole bunch of ideas in my head that I've since taken back and started making some changes here in my production company here in Australia. So I had to get you on the show because, I don't want to hold things back from my listeners here. So I'm excited to dive into this chat with you here today. But before we get into that, let me know, who is Armando Leduc and what led you to your production company, Leduc Entertainment?
I'm a storyteller, been a storyteller all my life. I really got into it in 98 when I auditioned for a musical, and it was Grease, and I got Danny Zuko, and I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and got into acting, and then I really wanted to do film, so I moved to New Orleans because in 2005, there was a tax credit here, and so all of Hollywood was coming here and filming movies, and I was like, oh, this would be a good stepping stone to LA, and then I stayed here because it's an amazing place, and started my production company here, doing more, narrative and fun, like comedies, sketch comedies and movies. And then I was just like, you know what? I think we could take this concept of creating stories and, bring it into sort of a corporate market. And so we rebranded to Leduc Entertainment in 2016 and, started doing commercials and weddings and the whole nine. And then COVID hit, and that's when things sort of changed. A friend of mine who I went to high school with runs a huge law firm, like a $45 million law firm called Bader Scott. And he's like, Armando, can you come and shoot some content for me? And I was like, sure. I didn't know what content was at the time. Like, we knew social media. And he was like, I'm starting a new company. It's called 8 Figure Firm. It's and I'm teaching other attorneys how to grow their law firms to 8 figures. And I was like, well, yeah, it sounds amazing. So I came in, shot like 20 videos in one day, and like I had to edit it by like the next month. And I had an editor that I totally overwhelmed. Learned a lot from like just being inundated with videos. But what was great, is that he was also mentoring me, and he was like, Armando, you have a 7-figure business. You just don't know how to get there. And he was like, you should come and I'm going to mentor you. You're going to have to pay me $2,500 a month. And I'm like, you're telling me I'm going to pay you more than I'm paying for my house, and he's like, yeah, but he's like, the thing is, if you pay for it, you'll value it. Right. And then you'll take what I'm telling you and you'll apply it. Cause one of his big things is the tide, the speed of growth in your business is tied to the speed of implementation. And so if you implement what I'm telling you, then you'll get there. And like the first month I worked with him, $30,000 in revenue in like the first month, right? As a result of working with him. Up to that point, I had only hit like maybe $70,000 for the year, since 2016. And all of a sudden I hit $500,000 in a year's time. And I'm like, okay, something is up, right? Like this is the way, right? So I started doing what they were doing, and as far as like the attorneys, and I'm on these mastermind groups with like these 7-figure, 8-figure CEOs and stuff, and I'm like learning everything. I'm not an attorney, and I'm definitely not making that money, and I'm like, okay, how can I apply all of the things that I can apply about business to my company and grow as a result? And we have just grown exponentially as a result of that mentorship, but also understanding that, organic content marketing on a volume-based level is the way right now in order to get like the authority, the credibility, and the trust that you need to close deals. Right. And so we started doing it for ourselves. We became our own client, which I think a lot of marketing companies don't do. Like they don't become their own client. And there's a disconnect when you're trying to close a deal. It's like, well, if it's so great, why aren't you doing it? Right. Like if you're growing your business, so I use myself as a case study all the time. I'm like, guys, I've done it for this. I've done it for this. I've done it for him. And we've done it for us. Like it works. We know it works, And so as a result, we've been able to like close a lot more deals because we're preaching what we're actually doing. We're walking the walk. We're talking the talk.
Yeah. Oh man. Hell of an introduction. And there was so much in that I want to unpack, So let's just take it back. So, that idea of that first month through to $30,000 in sales, which is something that you hadn't experienced in your production company before. What happened in that month that changed? Like, what were the first things that you changed to get that growth?
Mindset.
Right.
I think this changed because once I changed my mindset, I understood the abundance mentality. I started seeing all of the opportunities that were there. And then of course, like I'm able to speak through my mentorship, right? Cause I'm like, Ben, you don't need to listen to me, but you do need to listen to Lewis, who's making $45 million a year. And if he's doing that, then you should be doing this, right? And so I'm leveraging his mentorship through the sales process. And as a result, I was able to close deals.
Yeah. The mindset's such a huge thing. And I think one of the biggest challenges with changing mindset is I think many people listening would get the power in mindset, right? The power of thinking differently or thinking bigger or believing that you can, achieve more. The challenge in the reality is actually executing on that mindset change, right? Because we're usually our own worst enemies. Do you believe that investing in yourself, stepping out of your comfort zone and putting that investment, like paying that money to that coach effectively, was that a critical thing in forcing you to shift your mindset?
Yes, 100%. Look, when you're spending that much money a month on your personal growth, you better believe that the person that's giving you this mentorship can get you to where you want to go, right? And you have to have complete faith in the systems and the processes that they've done so that without a shadow of doubt that if you implement these strategies, you're going to grow. Mindset is great. right? And just like to your point, right? Mindset, if I have a growth mindset and I'm like, oh, I'm going to make $1 million, but I don't have a plan in which to get there, right? Or a proven system, then I'm going to hit wall after wall after wall after wall. And the great thing about having mentorship from somebody that's so far ahead of me that he's like, oh, circumvent that. Oh, don't do this. Oh, do that. Like I was able to avoid pitfalls and walls like miles before I even like hit them, right? And the biggest thing that he told me, he was like, Armando, a lot of business owners want to talk about operations. They want to talk about how to run the business and the processes and procedures. And he's like, the top line revenue. That's the thing you need to focus on when you're starting a business. That's it. Like if you're focused on top line revenue, everything else takes care of itself. Because if you have pipeline, if you have money, if you have $30,000 coming in on a monthly basis, you're going to find the talent to help you. But if you don't have the money and you're just working on processes and procedures, which I got caught up in, that's, that is not, you're not going to grow your business as a result, right? So I'm always thinking about top line revenue as the priority, step one. And even to this day, like top line revenue is where it's at. And then everything else, it filters out. Luckily, I'm in a position where my right hand, is just an amazing asset. He is, understanding. There's a really good book that I think you should read, and I think I brought it up. It was the 6 Types of Working Genius, and understanding where my limits were and hiring my weaknesses has been the game changer in my business. But I'm still always thinking top line revenue, and that was the first thing that he taught me, which is why I reached $30,000 in that first month, because all I was thinking about was sales. How do I close deals? What am I doing?
Yeah, it really is the lifeblood of a business, and I think you've said that really well. I guess that was one of the key things, but in the early days. But what was some of the other key learnings that you kind of get in masterminding with 7 leading into 8-figure law firms? I think it's a fascinating kind of situation you found yourself in, being in a coaching program or a mastermind program with law firms as a production company. What did you learn that translated into what you do here today? Obviously the mindset's one of those, but what else came along that journey?
Customer journey is big, right? How are people experiencing my business from the first touch to the follow-ups to when they become a client to all of the touches while we're servicing, then the production end, then the post-production end, then the distribution end, and then rinsing and repeating, right? So really like understanding how we're creating a wow experience for them at every stage of that process was something that I had not thought of before, and that they preach, in this 8-figure firm mastermind, that like I really was like, oh, yeah, we need to be memorable. Not only do we need to deliver on what we're talking about, but we also need to have a good experience while doing it, right? Because a lot of these cats that are 7-8-figure earners, they also want to enjoy their time, right? Like if they're going to spend time with you, they want to enjoy that time. So how are we implementing strategies to like make that more fun,
Yeah, that's really critical, and obviously a lot that I've talked about here on the show as well, around the importance of using video across that journey. I want to dive into something you mentioned before around that kind of kicked off your business growth as well, which is really embracing content marketing for your own business as well. Organic content marketing, I believe you said as well. Yeah. So tell me about that. Like, what was that? What is that from your perspective, and what does that look like for you, and how does that work for you?
Organic video content marketing does a few things. Obviously, creates brand awareness. You're able to use it for customer journey, all of that good stuff, right? But I think it also forces a company to make decisions about what their brand really is, right? And when you put out content on a regular basis and you see month and month, what videos are getting well or hitting and reaching and which ones are not, then you're able to like take those analytics and go, hey guys, these videos are doing really well. They love this. They love this. They're not liking this so much. Let's start doing more of this. Right. And so you learn through doing, what it is that you're trying to say, what your message is. You get better at talking. You get more confident about your business. There's so many benefits from creating content on a monthly basis that far surpass just being ubiquitous across all platforms, and you being seen at all times on social media.
Yeah, I often talk about when I'm coaching and working with other video production companies that we need to be eating our own cooking. You kind of mentioned it before as well. There's so many marketing agencies or production companies are not applying their own secret sauce to their own business. And, I think that's exactly what you're talking about here is developing, using your own business as a case study. So what does that look like for Leduc Entertainment? What did that look like at the start of that journey? What does it look like now? Has anything changed in that? Like, what is without going into like individual videos, but what is your marketing strategy, your content marketing strategy there? Like, how often are you releasing videos? What do these videos look like? What does it look like for you?
So in January, Lewis, who we still do content for, he said, Armando, I'm going hard on social media. And I was like, how you've been going hard? What are you talking about? And he's like, no, I'm going 5 times a day.
Five pieces of content.
I'm going to start distributing 5 videos a day across all platforms. So that's like 15, 20 posts a day, right? LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, the whole 9. And the reach that he's gotten as a result of posting that much, like by sheer volume alone, has increased that reach, right? And I don't know if the algorithm is rewarding him because he's creating that much content, but I mean, we've been at a video a day for the last 6 months, and now we have definitely, like, we've got about, I don't know, 50, 60 videos in the bank right now that like we're trying to build up because we want to get to at least 3 posts a day, but just a post a day has been transformational to our business in terms of like authority building. This podcast, I will tell you, has been game changing as well. And the content that we do is, it's Q&A. It's like the top 5 or top 10 in your city. I recommend doing that. Like your top favorite restaurants, your top favorite, date nights, your top favorite things to do, in your city. People love that, asking questions online. That's, holiday videos, sketches, podcasts, so we have a whole list. I could share that with you, but it's just like a content strategy for month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then an ongoing thing. So.
Yeah. So when you're planning out that content strategy, are you thinking about the customer journey and your ideal audience, or are you just thinking volume? Are you thinking like, what content can we put out there that's going to get eyeballs on the content, regardless of whether they're our potential clients or not? And I'm just thinking about, top date nights in your city, for example, like as a content topic for a video production company. How does that align in your mind?
I don't necessarily think it always has to be on brand. Does that make sense? Because
Right.
social
Yeah.
media can be fun, right? Like you should have some fun content along with educational value build content, right? So, or family stuff or something that humanizes you. Like I don't, I think a lot of, business owners might get too heavy into that spot. So what I think about is content pillars, and I have at least 3. Right? For me, it's social media and like marketing that I want to talk about. And then all of the sub niches that come below that. Personal development is another one. And then like making money, right? So those are my 3 content pillars. And for each of my clients, I also create content pillars for them so that they have something other than just their business as to what they're talking about, right? So it gives them a little bit more depth and, oh, okay, who is this person, right? Like, oh, I would love to like hang out with this person. So it kind of gives you a little bit more wiggle room so that you stay on brand with those content pillars, and they know, hey, when I go to this site, I'm going to get that. You know, I may not be as niche, and you'll, you know, obviously, like if you get real niche, right? And where it's all like, if you go to that channel, you're going to get this no matter what. It's a travel place. That's it, you know? And look, they do really, really well, you know, but, I feel like you don't need to have 1 million followers to make $1 million. I think you just need to find the right tribe to, you know, to rally around you, you know, and then just stay consistent, you know, on social media with that volume of content. And that's going to just tear it down anyway. Like by sheer volume, the reach is going to be massive. And I've seen it with Lewis. I've seen it with all the other clients that we work with too.
I think that idea of content pillars is really powerful, because people, like, even though it does seem quite wide, that various topics you might be able to talk to under those different pillars, like people will gravitate towards someone or a brand or you know, a creator or someone publishing content who are talking about things that they care about too. And you know, often it's not just like if you're a, let's say, video production company and you're only talking about video production, you know, aspects or video types that businesses can use, all this kind of stuff under that one content pillar, then, you know, people are only going to follow you if they're like actually really interested in that sort of stuff. But if you recognize that your target audience who are going to buy from you as a video production company, they're also interested in entrepreneurship or self-development or making money, you know, as you say there. So, you know, I think that's really smart to kind of diversify your content, but also stick within certain content pillars. I think that's really cool.
Thanks.
So to add to that, I want to get into a little bit of the tactics with you, Armando, and pick your brain a little bit. So well, there's two things here. Like, what type of content are you typically creating? Like, you know, long form YouTube videos? Are they, you know, TikTok videos? What type of content? And how do you structure your organization to be able to turn around for your own marketing that amount of content without compromising your ability to deliver what you need to for your clients as well? I think that's a struggle, that when we are eating our own cooking as a marketing company, we're putting resources in the business into creating content for ourselves. Potentially that feels like it's taking away from the work we need to be doing for our clients. So 2 questions there. What sort of content, and how are you handling the capacity of that content?
So here are the ratios that were told to me. 37% goes into employees, 25% goes into marketing, 10% operations, and then the rest goes into profit. If you stay in those ratios as close as you can, you will scale the business, right? Most businesses are taking 50, 60% profit, right, home, and there's nothing else to like market. So our marketing, we spend, I don't know, like $12,000, $15,000 a month on our own marketing, which is anything from our podcast, right, that we do, our own content that we shoot on a monthly basis that we batch create, you know, and then networking events that we go to, conferences, you know, so it's about like $10,000, $15,000 a month. And you just that's the investment. You hire enough people to be able to handle your business as if it was a client. So we treat Leduc Entertainment like it's a client. We don't treat it like it's an in-house thing, and if we do it, we do it. We don't. So I train my staff to treat us as if we're a client 100%. So in so doing, we were able to, I think we're up to like 450 videos a month that we're putting out. We've streamlined that process and the procedures, and we failed enough times to know how to like do it to do it right. So I think those ratios is how we've been able to, help our own business, keep us as a client, keep us marketing the way we like to market, the way we tell other people that they should be marketing. And then as far as the content is concerned, we have a brainstorming session every month for our clients where we sit with them and we talk about, like, we sort of, just like you guys are talking about, like, y'all are video strategists. We like to think of ourselves as like the chief marketing officer for these businesses. It's not like, what are we trying to accomplish? How do we know that we hit the mark? How do we know we're successful? And more importantly, how do the clients know that we've been successful, right? Because if they're not seeing success, they're not going to keep paying us, right, monthly to keep creating content. So we have to every month keep dating our clients. You know what I mean? In terms of, like, you got to court them, you got to romance them, you've got to, you can't just take your clients for granted, just because they're clients, right? Like, great, we're doing a good service, but are we producing results for them that are, like, actual? So what does that mean for us? It means more reach, more engagement, more followers, higher video views. Like, that's how we can tell whether or not we're being successful. I'm gonna give y'all some gold. Y'all want some gold? Let me give you some gold. Here you go. So this is what we did, and I told you we changed things up here in the last 2 weeks or so. This is going to change your business. 100%. Our business, right? More than half of our clients have come from our podcast, Spaghetti on the Wall, my podcast, right? Because what I do is I invite potential leads to come to my to the podcast. We engage. We're talking. Part of the authority building has already been done because we post all the time on social media, right? So when we invite someone that doesn't know us to my podcast, they can see I have almost 100 podcasts. They can see I post every day. They can see, oh, okay, this guy's legit. So immediately they're not only do they say yes, but they're enthusiastically saying yes that they want to, right? There's an app called Wallaxy. Are you familiar with this app?
I've not. No. Can you spell that one?
Wallaxy. Wallaxy.
Okay.
What this is going to do is it's going to connect with your LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You're going to tell Wallaxy you want to target family law attorneys, personal injury attorneys, whatever your niche is, right? Real estate, plastic surgeons, whatever, right? And it will now send 240 invitations a day on LinkedIn, right? Hey, Ben, would love to make your connection, yada, yada, yada. Just the warm, I'm not trying to sell you anything, just want to connect, right? This is all automated, by the way. Then the second email, once they say, hey, yeah, great, we're connected, right? We're friends now. Now it automates going, hey, took a look at your profile, would love to invite you to Spaghetti on the Wall. Here's the link. Here's the form to apply, yada, 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 right? If they haven't responded at that point, sends out another email. And this is all through LinkedIn, right? Sends out another invite. Hey, didn't know if you saw, but would really love to have you, yada, yada, yada. If they haven't done it by then, another email goes out, the third email. And then, either they do or they don't. After the third one, whatever, right? 30 to 40 leads a day of qualified niche, are going to be like the people you want to talk to, that you've already ingratiated yourself to them. So here, guys, that's oh my God, that's how things have just changed. So then what you do is you do a pre-screen interview. Say, hey, Ben, before we get on the podcast, let's have a pre-screen so you understand what it is, yada, yada. Then you have a whole list of questions. Hey, Ben, what do you do? Are you the owner of the business? Have you done a podcast before? Just to give you an idea, Spaghetti on the Wall is across all of these platforms, and we have 100K plus listeners and yada, yada, yada. So we're building us up. We're building them up. It sounds like you have a great story. Tell us a little bit about it. We're doing the weeding out process as to whether or not we're going to be a good fit. Because look, at the end of the day, if they become a client, then they're a good fit. Or if they have a big reach on social media, then they're a good fit. If they don't believe in social media, if they don't have the money, if they're like and they don't have an audience, then it's really not, a good fit. So we do all of that in the pre-screen interview so that when we get to the podcast, we're getting content for them. Then what we do is we cut a video, we send it to them as a gift. Hey, use this, and would love, also in the pre-screen, you let them know, say, hey, just to let you know that we're a social media marketing company. Like, to be transparent, like, this is what we do. We would love to help you, or at least have a conversation about how we can help you with your video and social media. Oh my God, yeah, would love that. Like, oh my God, yes, would love that is the answer, like 90% of the time. 90% of the time, right? Yeah. Then we're in negotiations even before the podcast starts. We have people wanting to sign up ahead of time. And so here's the kicker, right? Here's the goal. Y'all, I'm giving you guys the inside information right now. I'm giving you guys this is, if you implement this, and once again, I told you from the beginning, it's the implementation is tied to the growth and speed, right? Like, if you want to grow your business and you can implement this as quickly as possible, you will grow so damn quick. So here's what you do. Ben, we're going to come out and we're going to create content for you, right? Like, we all know that you need social media. That's fine. This is what we're going to do is we're going to create a podcast for you. You're going to have your own show that comes out every Friday, the Ben Amos Show, called, Innovate Media. We're part of the batch create content that we're going to do on that one day is invite 3 or 4 guests to come in and talk about your industry, right? I'm going to facilitate the whole thing. Don't worry about it. I'm going to have questions. It's all, we're going to cut it up anyway. You're going to get 5 questions. Your guest is going to get 5 questions so that we have clips to cut from, right? They're going to get something. And they're like, yeah, of course I want my own show, right? Now you have intentionality behind all of the content that you're creating anyway, because they have a show. Then you're telling them, like, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to invite your referral partners to the show. All of the people that you want to work with, invite them to the show. And then they're going to want to do business with you. They're going to want to refer you business. And if one person, give you an idea, I have a personal injury attorney in Baton Rouge who was networking with a guy from Minnesota. Unfortunate story. It's a sad story. A guy from Minnesota, he was in New Orleans, gets run over by a dump truck. And now it's a $10 million personal injury case that this guy networked and referred him the deal from Minnesota. And so now Josh, because he was networking and because he knew the guy, the referral partner, he's about to deal with this $10 million case, right? And I mean, these stories are all over the place. Like, Gulf Offshore Rentals is another company we work with that does oil and gas. Was like, oh, is this really going to work? A company from Siemens saw their video on LinkedIn. It's a $250,000 deal. So it works. And that, guys, that is the return on investment. So we're talking about, how do we know we're being successful, right? Because what do the people want? They want a return on investment. They want to know that whatever they're spending money on is going to work. So we're going to kill 5 birds with one stone. We're going to do the podcast. We're going to shoot all the content. We're going to invite all of these people. You're going to ingratiate yourselves. You're going to increase that relationship. You're going to be brand awareness on, be ubiquitous. And at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, of course. How much? I'll pay it. I'll gladly pay it. Because now we're pulling on that desire. Not only do they need it, but they fucking want it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants it. Guys, if you implement that, it's game over. Game over.
Boom. If that mic wasn't on a little boom stand in front of you, I'd ask you to drop it. So,
Yeah, look, I'm so excited about it because it just slapped me in the face. I'm working out and I'm like the epiphany just hits me and I'm like, dude, more than half of our clients, our podcasts come from the podcast. Why are we not doing this for our clients?
So let me. I want to dive into this a little bit because I know the listeners have just they've had their mind blown a bit, and their wheels are spinning. And there's a few things I want to unpack with you here. So, what you're proposing to your clients there is production of their own podcast, but then you're obviously filming that in their location. So it's an in-person podcast interview where they're inviting someone into their space, and then you're cutting that content into a whole bunch of organic social media content for them as well, right? Into reels, into short videos, and there's a whole distribution strategy combined with that as well. Are you helping them publish the podcast on all the different platforms? Are you handling all of that for them? So all they need to do is turn up on the day and be that pretty face in the seat.
100%. So here's what I learned about 2 years ago, because I was so excited. And I was, getting content done for like a bunch of different companies. What I didn't have was the distribution outlet. Like I didn't have it. And I was trying to find social media managers that were like, oh, I know how to do it. But they didn't, because a lot of these social media managers are using Planoly and all of these other apps to post video, but you can't post reels. And that's all we post, right? Because that has the most engagement. So we had to, we have to post it from a phone. So I had to, after being burned like 6-7 times by these social media managers, I was like, that's it. I'm going to bring it in-house and I'm going to figure it out and we're going to create processes. And we got it down to a science so much, man. It's just like, it's just easy. Like, it's just like, okay, boom, 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 boom. That's how they do it. We're about to hit our 100th episode with our own, podcast. So it's super easy for us, right? Because we've done it. So obviously that's what the people are paying for, right? It's like, I can teach you how to do all of this. It is a mountain of minutia things that they have to do. It's not rocket science. Anybody could do it. It is just a monster of the entire thing put together on a monthly basis. I mean, we're in production on a revolving door. You know what I mean? But our people know what we need to do, and yeah, we handle it from top to bottom. And here's another thing that if you guys want to close more deals, is start educating and moving them on into the process and experiencing your business as quickly as possible. If you can get them to experience your business, which is why we bring them to the podcast, and then we give them a video, then it's like, holy shit, yeah, I loved it. It was easy to come on the podcast. They were super, what's the word? Communicative. The video looks great. I had an amazing experience. This is exactly what it's going to be like. And it is.
So when you say like giving them that experience, is obviously the real benefit of what you're putting forward there is that it naturally falls into an ongoing month by month retainer kind of a arrangement where they want to keep that content going, to keep their podcast going. You're producing 4 episodes in that day, but then they want the next 4, right? So they can keep their content going. But are you locking them into a retainer right from the start, or are you just saying, let's just do 4 to start with? Let's do the first one. Like, what's your process there?
Glad you asked. So we were starting out at like $5K a month as a retainer. That's it. We were missing out on deals because it's a fire hydrant, right? It's like you're drinking from a fire hose. How can I bring somebody that has never done social media to a place where I'm telling them that they have to be posting every day, right? Yeah. Like that's huge, right? I can't get them there in a conversation, but what I could do is, and I have what we call the Start Now package, right? And I say, hey, Ben, what we're going to do is we're going to come out and for $2,000, we're just going to shoot video. That's it. We're just going to shoot video. Then the next month, you're going to take that 2K and we're going to we're going to edit those videos, right? And we're going to give them to you, and they're not going to post, obviously, right? Because they're just not going to, right? Third month hits, they have, 20 videos in the bank, and they're like, Armando, I don't have the time. Hey, we got this. Now we're going to pick up the distribution for you. And now they're seeing it. And now here's the deal. They hit the epiphany that first day. When they experience the day and we shoot the content, they want to see the content, right? And if they're, a lot of people, they're like, I don't have the money. But if they see that it's going to create a return on investment, they're going to spend their money. And I don't know if you guys use Affirm or not. I don't know if that's in Australia or not. But like Stripe, do you guys use Stripe as a payment method?
Payment gateway, yeah.
Cool. So you can connect it to Affirm, and Affirm does they'll pay you, and then they can pay over time. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's right there.
I haven't come across Affirm before.
Yeah. So I don't know if it works in Australia or not, but it integrates with Stripe. All you have to do is click, integrate, and then it pops up right there on that sales page. If you have the client that needs to do it on a monthly retainer, which is why we deal with mainly like attorneys and 7-figure businesses, because we know that they can just, they're like, yeah, I don't want to do any of that. Like, you guys handle the whole thing. I'm like, great, we'll handle the whole thing.
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you right, you're effectively spreading. You're saying it's $2,000 a month, but the first month we're just going to come out and shoot. You're going to experience it, and are they not committed to doing the second month at that stage? It's like now that they've done the shoot.
I usually try to get them. I'm like, look, we're going to do the $2,000 a month thing. I don't want to stay at $2,000 a month. Like, I want to get to a point where you're spending $10,000, $15,000 a month, because I know that that's going to exponentially grow your business, right? Like, but don't worry about that. Like, let's take baby steps. You'll experience it. But when you get that epiphany moment, that light bulb hits, and then you're like, let's push the gas. And that's usually what happens. Month 2, month 3, the clients are like, let's push the gas. And with this podcast specifically, that has been a game changer, because people want a show. They understand a show. You know what I mean? So if you wrap that up and you make that the flagship, and then, and be like, and we'll create content, from those podcasts, obviously the other things too, right? Like the top 10s and, all of that stuff, because we also incorporate that, and then the personal brand shoot. So it's a long day. I mean, we're shooting anywhere from 30 to 50 pieces of content in that one day.
Yeah.
So
are you shooting, like, in that day you're shooting maybe 4 podcast episodes?
Yes.
Half an hour each,
No, 10 minutes.
Oh, 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Really sharp.
Yeah. You want to get them in and out, right? And it gets them used to wanting more, right? It's like, guys, we're just going to do 10 minutes for now. Nobody's watching this show anyway when you first put it out. Like, don't worry about it. That's not what we're doing this for right now. Right now, what we're doing is creating relationships with referral partners. That's the only point of this podcast. Yeah. And to keep it consistent on a weekly basis.
And the micro content you pull from that.
And the micro content, yeah. And the micro content that we pull from. That is the point. I had a conversation with a guy I just closed in Miami. And he's like, Armando, nobody's going to watch a podcast about work injury. And I'm like, you're missing the point. Yes, nobody's going to watch it. Absolutely. Maybe a year, 2 years from now, they might. But that's not the point. Who are your referral partners? Personal injury attorneys. Great. We're going, and how am I going to find? Don't worry about that. We got that. We'll throw it in a Wallexy. 240 personal injury attorneys. Dude, it's like, it's all built in, man. It's like mind blowing. And he's like, yeah, come on, let's go. 10K a month. He's on a 10K a month deal today. I signed it. I'm like, boom. And here's the thing, guys. This is a videography podcast, right?
Yeah. Well,
there's mainly
video
videographers
marketing.
listening to this.
There's a huge amount of videographers listening.
Guys, here's another golden nugget for you. Those people that come to the podcast as guests of your clients will become clients, because they're going to go, can you do this for me? Of course. This is what we do. So you have, I mean, you're printing money at this point because you have the referral. I mean, it is so easy. Guys, like, I should be charging, and I will be charging, like, a lot of money for this information, but here you go. Enjoy it. Put it into practice. Make it happen. Because I'm telling you, this is the deal.
Huge. I appreciate you for sharing so much there, Armando. One last thing that's kind of at the back of my mind here, and then we're going to wrap this up, because there's been so much in here, and I think, you know, people's minds have been blown a little bit as well about the potentials. But I'm interested in now that you've executed this and you're implementing this and you're doing this for your clients, what's the delivery like? What does your team look like in order to deliver this? You know, and like, how many clients you got going at a particular time that you can service with your team? Obviously, you can scale your team, right? But there's a lot of, you mentioned a lot of processes, a lot of stuff to systemize there that can be delivered on a consistent basis. But it takes team to do that. So, what does that look like for you?
Scalability is easy for us at this point because we're plug and play. You have to think about micromanagement first, right? Like, you've got to micromanage people up until they become leveraged employees. Once they become leveraged employees, then they can do the teaching, right? So when you get to a point, once you get past seven figures, right, in revenue, then the conversation becomes, how do I develop leaders in order for them to teach what the processes are, and then it's a whole conversation, like, no longer, like, shooting these things and editing these things, right? Like, I'm managing my leaders, right? And so that's how you start growing the organization, right? It's through creating the leaders and then the processes and procedures. And we use Teachable. I don't know if you guys know Teachable. It's it's one of these online course. So we use it for our operations manual, and I also use Lucidchart. Lucidchart is amazing. For my brain, I need to see some
visual
like flow charts.
Yeah,
I love it. Like this step, and then this step, and then this, and it's really good for that. And then, Will, who's my Tenacity guy, he'll take that and then he'll make it pretty, and and then he goes and disperses it and lets people know. So, I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3.
Armando's busy counting.
20 like 20 like current clients that are like retainer, and then clients that just kind of start or like stop, and we do like one-offs as well, but yeah, I got a friend of mine in Miami who's got a company. Shout out to Alex Miranda. His company's called Virtrify, but I'm sure you guys have virtual assistant companies out there in Australia as well. But, if you're clear about what it is that you need and you have your KPIs, do you know what a KPI is?
Yeah, key performance indicator.
Great. If you have your KPIs set and you know exactly how to measure and manage everything, then it's just, at this point, it's plug and play, because, like I said, it's not rocket science. It's just a lot of mini details along the way, that checklists that need to get done, and we use Asana as like that task management software to make sure that everybody is sticking to their deadlines.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. It's all about the systems. All about the processes.
I'm going to share this with you. Can you give me that box real quick? Because you guys are going to love this. You guys are going to love this. I just implemented this. So, you got prospects, right? That are like, whether or not they want to, they want to do business or not, they've just been on the fence. So what we did was I bought a little box, right? And on the top, it's a wax seal with an L on it. And inside the box, there's a red and a blue gumball. And this QR code takes them to a landing page that is specific to them. So this is going to say, hey, Ben, prepare for an incoming message, right? And then in it, it's me dressed as Morpheus, and I've got my back turned so I can say, hey, Ben, on a voiceover, right? And then I turn around and I'm like, and then it's Morpheus, and I'm like, so you've come to this place and it's brought me to you. And, I go through the whole thing of like, you can take the blue pill and wake up and do whatever, or you can take the red pill and we can show you how deep this rabbit hole goes, and we send this to them, in a box. If they were in town, I was going to get like a couple of my employees to wear like suits and like sunglasses,
deliver it
and deliver it, but it's fine. But they get it and they open and like, what is this? Dude. And it says, all you have to do is just message me red pill and we can get started. And bro,
I love it. Direct mail. Yeah.
But only for the prospect, only for the people that are like, that, they just that need that little kick. Those are the people that you do it with.
Man, I love it. So much gold here. This has been incredible. And I know people have been, fired up and their brains are just going off in all directions here. So, I really appreciate everything that you've shared here today. We will have to wrap this episode up. I could continue talking to you for another hour easily. But, let's wrap this up. Let's tie a bow in this. And I want to thank you, Armando Leduc from Leduc Entertainment for your insights here today and being so giving with your what you found is working so well for you and inspiring others to take some action and improve their mindset and take action.
Yeah. Text me, let me know it worked. If you guys are implementing it and tell me how you guys like it and see.
So tell me, for people who are listening to the podcast and they want to connect further with you, they want to say that they heard you on the podcast and whatever to connect and learn more from you, what's the best way for people to follow what you got going on?
You can follow me on all of my social media. It's at Armando Leduc, ARMANDO, Leduc. And then my website is leducentertainment.com. And so, they can hit me up in the DMs and, I'm always super responsive.
Fantastic, my friend. So we'll have links to Armando and everywhere to find him as well in the show notes for this episode at engagevideomarketing.com/274. And I really appreciate you for coming on once again. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, Ben. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, there you go. So much value in this chat with Armando Leduc. I, for one, have already taken down a whole list of ideas that we'll be actioning in my business immediately. So how about you? Let me know in the comments below the video or email me, podcast@engagevideomarketing.com. What will you be taking away from this episode for your business? You can also get all the links that we shared along with the transcript for this episode and more on the show notes at engagevideomarketing.com/274. Be sure to subscribe for more and follow on your podcast app of choice, and I'll see you real soon in the next episode of the Engage Video Marketing Podcast.